Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the 17th episode of the Triboro Podcast. Yes, I, Justin Alonso, am alive. Yes, my co-host, Nicholas O'Brien, is alive. Yes, I'm somewhere else. What is going on? How are you doing, Nick?
Good. We're back.
Yes.
Tribal Podcast is back.
Yes.
You know, sometimes life gets in the way, but the Tribal
Knives
Podcast
are more important
prevails.
sometimes.
Guarding
Selling,
lives.
selling knives. Guarding lives, selling knives.
Guarding. That's what the Tribal Podcast is all about.
Exactly. Only the greatest of gentlemen. Yeah,
Exactly.
but baseball, a lot has happened. Last episode, it wasn't even us. It was other people's
More
thing.
people. Now it's us.
Now it's just me, Nick. I'm down the shore.
Baseball.
Baseball won't get
Baseball.
into
Baseball.
Queens.
Now entering Queens.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Queens. It has been a while. The Mets were bad. The season was bad, but the Mets are good again. As they
The season
swept.
was over. Then the season was back on.
Yes, exactly. And as of right now, the season is back on because the Mets have swept the Philadelphia Phillies. Their bell has been
I was
rung.
about to say that if you didn't.
They have really bad pitching. Aaron Nola is washed. Taiwan Walker is washed. Bryce Harper didn't play all 3 games, so they just waved the white flag
So
from
he's
the first
washed.
game. So he's washed, of course. But before we get into that, as always, your injury update brought to you by Triboro MD. Not a lot to go off of, but Jose Quintana has started throwing. He's probably still a month or two away from joining the team, but this is a big step in his recovery from his bone spur cancer scare. And Edwin Diaz still thinks he's going to pitch this year. He says rehab is going well, everything is going well. I think he's a little ahead, if I'm not mistaken, but a late or maybe just an early September return is not completely out of the question.
And I feel like even if he is just being so like shooting for the moon, I still feel like you do want that.
Yeah.
Because you'd rather have him being like that hopeful, because you know the saying, shoot for the moon, land on the stars.
Exactly.
So it's like, all right, shoot for the stars, land on the moon. I always
Yeah,
mix it up.
shit.
Regardless. You'd much rather him be trying to come back than, I'm this ahead of schedule. I can come back, but I wasn't mentally prepared for it.
Right. It's not going to be like a shock
Yeah.
if he's ready. But that's some nice news to get from Diaz. Obviously, this bullpen dearly misses him. But the Edwin Diaz-less Mets swept the Phillies, so let's get into that. In Game 1, Kodai Senga was absolutely amazing once again at home. I'll get into it a little bit later, but Senga has been so much better at home than on the road, and he continues that stretch going 7 innings, 1 hit, 0 earned runs, 0 walks. Let me repeat, 0 walks and 9 strikeouts.
I think that's interesting.
Again, what?
Just you finish what you're saying. You finish what you're saying.
No, I was going to get into the scoring summary.
No, I just think that the 0 walks, being able to like just have that control at home and it being like an issue more on the road with the walks, you'd think it'd be more the hits than the walks. I don't know. I just think that's something that is like pretty interesting. Because I feel like control is one of those things that it'll work anywhere, but it could just be a mental thing, could be a bunch of different things.
Right, which we could talk about in a few. But the scoring summary, not a lot going on, but Lindor hit his 10th home run of the year to give the Mets a 1-0 lead, and later in the game, Eduardo Escobar hit an RBI single that kind of dribbled up the middle of the diamond, which I'm extremely surprised nobody got to. It got past Trey Turner, it got past Bryson Stott, and Starling Marte scored from second, but we'll take it as the Mets won 2-0. Overall, A really great showing from the pitching staff. You were 2 bloop singles away from no-hitting the Phillies again. But a really good start of the game, really good start of a homestand where you're facing, a kind of struggling Phillies team, but then, which we'll talk about later, another good team in the Blue Jays. But really good start. You always love taking the first game of a series. And then on to game 2, where Carlos Carrasco is on the mound after having a fantastic start in Chicago, which we unfortunately could not talk about, where he went 7 innings. Carrasco was more than serviceable, and he was great for a second start in a row as he went 6 innings, 6 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, and 4 strikeouts. Huge. I think if Carrasco can... Now, I'm not going to expect this from him every game, but if Carrasco can kind of get it going and just be
4.
an average, above average pitcher, yeah, exactly. He's your 4, he's your 5 even, but
Sorry, I forgot about
if he
David
can give you
Peterson.
innings, if you could give solid innings, solid 6, 5 innings, even 7
You're
on the
cutting out, by the
occasional day, I'm so sorry.
You're good now.
Alrighty.
I was reading
But
your lips.
thank you. But he looked great. He looked like he had a lot more command on his breaking stuff, especially his changeup. But you love to see that. But I feel like as good as Carrasco was, the storyline of this game was Mark Canha. So in the scoring summary, Mark Canha hit a 2-run home run to give the Mets a 2-1 lead. And then later in the game, Mark Canha again hit a 2 RBI single to give the Mets the 4-1 lead as the Mets won 4-1. Now, I was talking about Carrasco. Hopefully he can get it going. If Mark Canha can get it going, and that lengthens the lineup so much. So much more. Mark Canha is not really going to be your power bat, but if he get his on-base skills back, and just lengthen the lineup and keep the line moving, that'd be huge for this team.
The first thing I did when you were talking about Canada was check to see if he got hit by pitches.
He did not get hit by pitches because he absolutely destroyed the ball
I'm
off Aaron Nola.
I'm happy with that. Hit as
I'm sure
many
you are.
home runs and doubles as you want. Get hit on the base passes if you want, just not in the batter's box.
It's not in the best facts. And then game 3, Max Scherzer on the mound. He delivered. He went 7 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs, 1 earned. I think it should be none earned, but I'll talk about that in a second. 1 walk and 9 strikeouts. I think we're finally starting to see him turn a corner. Knock on wood. I don't want to jinx it, but he's looked good the past couple starts. He looked fantastic in Colorado, which everyone knows how hard it is to pitch in Colorado. He looked great against the Phillies. And he even said it himself. Like, he feels a lot more in tune. Like, he feels like he knows where his pitches are going. He has a lot more control. So, obviously, this team needs Max Scherzer to be Max Scherzer. But going up to his pitching line with the 2 runs and 1 earned, the 2 runs came in the first inning really due to Francisco Alvarez was behind the plate. Trey Turner and I believe it was Bryce Harper did a double steal. Trey Turner stole third. Alvarez kind of he's trying to throw over the batter to get to third base, and he just overthrew everybody. So Trey Turner scored on the throwing error, which allowed Harper to move up to third base, and then he scored on a sac fly. So, in my mind, Scherzer gave up 0 earned runs.
I don't know what an earned run is, man. It's one of those stats that are so stupid because it's up to the discretion of someone who's not perfect because they're a human being.
Right.
So it's like...
Right. Take it for what you will. But in my mind, Scherzer went 7 innings of 0-run baseball. Now, to get into the scoring summary, Jeff McNeil with an RBI single put the game 2-1. Mark Canha, once again, hit a 2-run home run to give the Mets a 3-2 lead. And later in the game, Mark Vientos hit a sac fly to deep center field as the Mets won 4-2. Mark Hanna, past couple games against the Phillies, he has completely owned the Phillies.
Mm-hmm.
You had last year, I think it was, I want to say it was August, I want to say it was August. He had a big game with a 2-home run game that he quite literally carried the Mets that game against the Phillies. This entire series, Mark Hanna was all over the place, putting his name in. You know, Pride Month, Mark Hanna's here.
I
He's
did not
channeling the
expect that
power.
one. I did not expect that one. I'll be completely honest.
No, but
Um,
Mark Hanna is known to be an ally, and he's channeling your positive energy.
oh God. No, but one thing that when I was looking at the hit by pitches that I did notice, in about a third of the games, Mark Hanna has double the amount of double play balls. So
Right.
when you were talking about all this stuff that he was doing, it's doubles, home runs. It's all elevating the baseball. And right now I'm trying to find like what his fly ball percentage is. Like just here, I think I have it right now.
Right.
Yeah, so last year's fly ball percentage was he actually has a lower ground ball percentage than last
This
year.
year?
Yeah. He had a
That is surprising.
45.3. This year he has a 44.1.
Pretty good.
Maybe some unluckiness, maybe lucky last year.
Maybe, coming into the season, he did say he wants to try to hit more home runs. So maybe it's like a different approach, try to get the ball off the ground.
Yeah.
But honestly, watching him, it doesn't feel like his ground ball percentage is down.
Yeah, no, it's 1%, but still.
Right, but still, I feel like that's still like a
Still
decent
double the amount of double
change.
plays in a third of the game.
Right.
So that's like could be either he got really lucky last year or got really unlucky this year. I don't know, that's just
Right.
something that like I saw and wanted to delve a little deeper into.
Right, but honestly, if he could just continue this stretch, that'd be huge for this team. Even if I think he had like a 122 OPS plus last year, because I was looking at it last night. But if he could just be that guy again, not even like a 115.
He's at 104
Like,
right now.
He's won at 104. Yeah, like he hasn't been as bad as many people think he has, but look, he's been an average, a little bit above average hitter. So if he can bump it up to, like I said, like a 115, 120 OPS plus, that'd be huge, especially from the bottom of the lineup.
I think it's just one of those things that like the bottom of the lineup as a whole has just not been good. So people are just gonna like point to everyone and lump everyone together. You know what I mean on that? Even if like they're not doing that bad, it's just like, oh, the entire bottom of the lineup sucks.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Trust me, I've seen a lot of that. But, Mets swept the Phillies. It's always good to sweep divisional rival, especially the Phillies. I don't like the Phillies, if that wasn't.
You like the Phillies?
No, I do not. I'm not a fan of the Phillies. I'm not a fan of the Phillies.
The Phillies aren't a fan of you.
It's a mutual hate.
Mm.
It's okay. But some overall thoughts. Mark Hanna, shockingly, in his last 14 games, Mark Hanna is slashing .333 with a .462 on-base percentage, a .476 slugging. That's good for a .938 OPS. The slugging is nice. That's great. That's not what he's here to do. But that .462 on-base percentage, that's what I'm looking at. I obviously, last 14 games, maybe it's just a hot streak, but still, getting that on-base skills back at the bottom of the lineup is huge. Like I said earlier, just to keep the line moving, especially that you have Francisco Alvarez consistently hitting ninth. If you get guys on base for Alvarez, who's been on a tear, only good things can come from that, I feel.
Mm. I don't like that, too.
What?
Alvarez hitting ninth?
I don't either. I was going to wait like a little bit, but we can talk about it now.
We can wait if you want to wait.
No.
Okay.
Might as well. We're already on the topic, but like, I don't. It's one of those things where it's like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But at the same time, he's been in May at the very least, he has been your best hitter this month.
Mm.
So constantly hitting him ninth is a little frustrating. But again, if it ain't broke, why mess with it? I mean, they've been hitting him second against lefties.
I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah, that's a little too
I'm
high for
saying
my
like
liking.
5, 6, 7, like middle of the
Yeah,
order.
I agree. I wouldn't mind. Like, I know lefty righty for lineups, but if you have Alonso, Alvarez, Beatty, like 4, 5, 6, I think that would be fine. I just feel like it's wasting him hitting him
Mm,
ninth.
I agree. It's
And plus,
also it's not like
go
he's
ahead.
a
Yeah,
speed guy. Like if he's
no,
a speed guy, okay, double lead off, I can kind of see that. But
right.
I think that that's one issue where it's a little too old school a buck.
Yeah,
Where like with lineup creations, he'll kind of like go at them a little too old school, whether it be like with the rookies, not playing them every day. He's gotten better with that to
yeah,
extent.
definitely.
But kind of like just babying them. But like if they're hitting, you gotta just give them the shot. You know
Exactly,
what I mean?
exactly. No, I agree. And like you said, he has gotten a little better. I mean, Brett Beatty and Francisco Alvarez are playing majority of the games, but I have noticed Buck still likes sitting Beatty against lefties, which I still don't understand because Beatty has shown in the majors that he can hit lefties, and it's not like, he's like below average. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but he's been perfectly serviceable against lefties. He's been fine against lefties, so I don't understand sitting him against lefties when he's supposed to be a big part of your future.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you just sit him against lefties, it's going to not ruin his development, but it's definitely going to
Stunt it.
stunt it a little bit, I feel. Because if he just doesn't get a look against lefties, how is he supposed to get better?
I wouldn't. I think it's a lot more bad than, or it's a lot worse than you do. I think that it could be horrible, because I think that if they
Right.
don't let him play against lefties, especially good lefties, consistently more towards the end of the year, I think that he could, and this could be a little like overreacting, but it could put him at risk of being a platoon bat for his career.
Right. Yeah. You don't want to like force him into that mold of being too
Exactly.
bad. And especially like, he sat him against some lefties, and then later in the game, there's a right-handed reliever up, so he pinch hits with Beatty. I just feel like these kids need consistent playing time. I don't like them being called up to sit on the bench,
Mm.
which brings me to my next point.
And really
Thank you for
quick,
the
I
segue.
hate rookies pinch hitting. I just hate
So
that,
do
but
I.
go on.
So do I. A rookie who's been pinch hitting a lot, which is very frustrating, is Mark Vientos. So you called him up, like, what, 2
2
weeks
weeks
ago
ago.
now? He has 28 plate appearances.
I think when we recorded last, he was not on the team.
No, I think when we recorded last, I think it was his first game.
Okay. Regardless, it was like
So
at that time.
it's been a
About
been a
2
while.
weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. So he has 28 plate appearances, and small sample size, but on his baseball savant, he is 76th percentile in max exit velo, which, if he qualified, would be second on the team. He has a 60% hard hit percentage, which, if he qualified, would be second on the team. He hits the ball hard. But seeing his 28 plate appearances, he's just not playing. And Buck is using him as a platoon bat. And it's frustrating because he's gonna DH against lefties, but then when there's a righty on the mound, it's Daniel Vogelback, who I was defending earlier this month, but now with Mark Vientos up, it's a lot harder to, because the guy just doesn't swing the bat. I will say, he's in the 91st percentile for hard hit percentage. Great. Fantastic. He has a 54% ground ball rate. For a larger fella, which I love Daniel Vogelback. I think he's a great guy. For a larger fella, you cannot consistently hit ground balls, especially with men on base, because that's almost an automatic double play, which can kill a rally, which has killed rallies, and it's extremely frustrating to watch.
And especially as a DH, Because, like, I don't think, like, most people, like, the DH has to give you power, has to give you power. But if you're a
Right.
bigger guy, you can't be hitting into those double plays. You at least got to either walk or elevate the ball.
Exactly. And he's just not elevating. Like I said, 54 ground ball
That's not.
rate.
That's horrible.
That's not good.
We're
Yeah, that's
complaining about
really
Mark
bad.
Hanna. Mark Hanna's at 44.
Exactly. Like over 50% of the time he's hitting the ball on the ground, which unless there's an error is an automatic out. I'm sorry. I like Vogelback. I think he still has a chance to be good on this team. I just don't think he should be the primary DH. I think Mark Vientos is here for a reason. Mark Vientos has. It's not like he's even been bad against righties. He's been really good against righties. Let me find his stats against righties on the year. Here it is.
Damn, I
Against
was trying to
right-handed
beat
pitching
you.
this year, he's hitting 320 with a 407 on base, a 680 slug for a 1.087 OPS. Sure, that's in the minors. Say what you want. But this guy can hit right-handed pitching. It's not like he can't.
I
So
feel
it's
like
extremely frustrating to watch.
the thing with righties too is a vast majority of them can hit righties because they see them every single day for the most part. It's like the thing
Right.
of they lefties. Okay, I could see like they may have more trouble because they don't see them every day. But as a right-handed hitter, you have to be able to hit righties to be able to stay in the major leagues. If you don't get the
Definitely.
opportunity, how can you prove that you could hit it? If your entire career
Exactly.
you've proved that you can hit righties, it's,
Yes, it's frustrating. That's exactly how I feel. It's just to the point where I can't put it into words. It's just play him. It's it's as simple as that. But then, they'll turn around and be like, "Oh, he's underperforming. He's not doing great." He's not doing well because you're not giving him time to play. You're not giving him time to adapt. I mean, literally, it happened twice already with Beatty and Alvarez. You give them consistent playing time, and they start hitting. It's a simple concept.
shocker. It's almost like baseball players are creatures of habit, and they need that routine.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's Mark Vientos can provide a lot of power to this lineup, who Francisco Alvarez has already given a lot more than I feel like you can ask for. But getting Mark Vientos' bat into this lineup and how he's been hitting his entire career would be huge.
Hmm.
But that's enough on that because I can go on and on. But last thing I want to talk about before we look ahead is I mentioned it earlier, but Kodai Senga has been so much better at home than on the road. He now has 5 starts on the home. On the home, yep.
On the home,
5 starts on the home. 5 starts on the road. 5 starts at home. At home, 5 games, 30 innings, 1.20 ERA. On the road, 5 games, 25 innings, a 6.12 ERA. Like it's comical how different it is. Now, the 5 on the road, if I'm remembering correctly, one was in Miami, then it was San Francisco, then it was Oakland, then Cincinnati, and then Chicago.
he played at
So,
Cubs, at Reds, at Giants, at Athletics, at Marlins.
yes. So, his Chicago start was a bit rough.
3 earned
And,
runs in 5 innings.
yeah, what I thought, because obviously we couldn't talk about it before, but what I think the issue was in Chicago is just the weather. Chicago is extremely windy. It
You
can
were
get
either
cold.
gonna get is either gonna be a hitter's ballpark or a pitcher's ballpark. It's literally a
Right.
flip of the coin depending on how the wind is in any given
Exactly.
pitch. It can literally be a
Right.
hitter's and pitcher's ballpark in the same day.
Exactly. And in Japan, every stadium is in a dome. So every stadium is controlled weather-wise. It's going to be warm. You don't have to worry about rain. You don't have to worry about wind. So I still think there is an adjustment period on the road. But then you look at home, and
That's
it's
what I
like,
was gonna
New
say.
York isn't like I'll give him benefit of the doubt in Chicago, but like San Francisco, I know the Oakland Coliseum is
It's
a stadium.
cavernous.
Right. But, In his Oakland start, I will say, was that weird start where he rested a lot in between innings because the Mets were scoring a shit ton of runs. But I'm not sure what else it is, why he does so good at home. Maybe it's just, a home field advantage thing. Maybe it's a mindset thing. Like, I'm not sure. But because of that, it sounds like Senga's going to start Sunday against the Blue Jays, which would be his first start on 4 days of rest. Now, what do you think about that? Because they've been, not babying him, but, they've been giving him extra rest when they can. But now he's going to essentially short to about right rest.
I think it's one of those things, just something's got to give. He's got two major blocks, or not. I don't want to say a block for the rest, because he's just not. We don't know what he's going to be like on that. So he's not going to be good on the road. That's just, or the chances are he's not going to be as good on the road or home. But you also know he hasn't pitched on that many days of rest. It's one of those things of, it's a tough decision. I'm glad I don't have to make it. I don't mind it, and I think that either way, how it turns out will be telling and will definitely be interesting, because I think they'll approach the rest of the year based off this start.
Yeah. Personally, I like it because I think, he's going to have to do it anyway at one point. That's just how the major leagues work here. It's not as strict of a schedule.
When you get to the playoffs as well.
Right.
If you make
it. And I think the fact that it's another home start, it would be another home start for him. I think you kind of just give him what seems like a more comfortable start for him. He pitches better at home, so maybe he just adjusts better. Mm-hmm. But I think it's a thing where it's going to happen eventually, and I think you want to do it at home rather than on the road.
It's also a thing of, I'll agree with you on that. You'd much rather at home or on the road, but he also just has to start pitching on the road better, because like I said, like I alluded to the playoffs, you get to the playoffs, you're going to need, if it's like a 1-1 series or in a best of 7, a 7-7, or a 2-2 series, and you got to go on the road, and you got to pitch in San Diego, LA, Atlanta, who else am I forgetting? St. Louis,
Milwaukee.
I'm saying outdoors.
Okay.
There's other than Milwaukee, what domes are there that he would pitch in?
Yeah, there's only so many. Right.
So he's got to get used to that. Especially the weather's going to be a lot colder then too. Especially in October, the St. Louis, Philly, even at home. So I do think he is going to have to just learn to get over that hump. But
Right. No, definitely. That's honestly something I didn't exactly think about, so I'm glad you brought that up.
I just thought about it 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, he definitely needs to just... And look, it's all an adjustment period, so I'm sure he will adjust.
Oh, I know you know that I'm saying this, I'm just clarifying this. Yeah. I'm not saying he's not going to adjust. I think he will adjust, given time, but it's just a thing of, like with the kids, you keep babying them, they're not going to learn.
Exactly. And that's why I think it's a good idea to pitch him on 4 days of rest. Mm-hmm. Against, I want to say, a kind of struggling Blue Jays. They're kind of weird right now.
It's the mid. They're at the mid-credit scenes.
They're at the mid-credit scenes. But speaking of the Blue Jays, time for the look ahead, where the Mets are starting a 3-game set against the Blue Jays. Read the fine print. But Game 1. Justin Verlander versus old friend Chris Bassett. Now, Bassett, he's had, I feel like, an up and down year. He started really bad, and then he had a really good stretch. And now he's kind of the Chris Bassett that is, his back of the baseball card. But, old friend Chris Bassett's coming back, and this is not only the second series in a row, but it will be back-to-back games where the Mets are facing an old friend. Because Game 3, they faced Taijuan Walker.
Can I cut you off?
Can you say something?
His most recent start, he let up 7 runs in 4 innings against Twins.
Interesting.
in Chris Bassett. But then the start before that, in 6 1/3, he let up 2 earned runs in what's it called? In Tampa. Wait. But he gave
I
up
guess
more runs.
he's just a flip of a coin.
But he gave up 3 home runs. So one of those runs wasn't earned. But regardless.
Interesting. Okay. Regardless, that's game one. Justin Verlander struggled in Colorado. I mean, Colorado, I don't want to like make excuses and kind of like just pass it on, but it is Colorado. But he had a good stretch and then he looked bad. So here's to hoping he pitches better at home. Better in a more pitcher-friendly environment, I feel. And then game two will be Tyler McGill versus Jose Barrios. Barrios actually looks decent this year. He doesn't look abysmal as he has the past few years. But Tyler McGill, I mean, he didn't have a good start in Chicago. A lot of that had to do with Tommy Pham, but we won't talk about it. Tyler McGill, he is basically a 5-inning pitcher at best. So I don't think you can rely on him too much, but honestly, anything more than 5 innings is a plus. So hopefully he can go quality start, 6 innings, 3 runs against the Blue Jays. And then game 3, who should be Kodai Senga versus Yusei Kikuchi. Yusei Kikuchi, lefty. So hopefully Mark Vientos is playing this game because why else would he be here? But Yusei Kikuchi is having a solid year, I feel. Like another guy like Jose Barrios who's struggled the past few years, but what have you seen from this Blue Jays team, seeing that they're in the Yankees division?
They're weird. I don't know what.
You don't know what to think of them?
I'm 95% sure of something. Let me get something before, or let me get the numbers just so that I know for a fact. They got up to a 4th. I thought they were in 5th still.
Oh, good for them.
But they would be tied for first place in the AL Central. They would be first in the NL Central, and they would be tied for second in the NL East with the Mets. So
right.
They're but they also started a lot hotter. They've cooled off. Like in their last 10, they're 5-5. So they've been average in their last 10. So it's one of those things of I think this is definitely a good test because it's one of those things of it fits your narratives either way. Of if you beat them, you're like, oh, it's a good Blue Jays team. Even though they're struggling, you can just say you beat them. Or if they beat you, you're like, oh, it's still a good Blue Jays team. They're snapping out of it. So it's one of those things of you don't know what to expect until first pitch. It's
Definitely.
just
Yeah. I mean, their offense is good, I'd say. I feel like it's not as dangerous. I feel like it's a little bit of a aside, but I feel like the Teoscar Hernandez trade, as bad as Hernandez has been on the Mariners, I feel like that kind of changed the kind of look of this Blue Jays lineup. I mean, you have Bo Bichette, who's been great. Vlad Jr., who's been okay. George Springer hasn't really got going. Matt Chapman cooled off extremely. So, and Dalton Varsho has been pretty bad.
I feel like he's been what?
So,
I never really saw him as that good of. Everyone was like, "Oh, he's such a good player." And it's no, he's a really good defender, but he's gonna be average as a hitter. And I feel like everyone was just hyping him up so much more than really what his value was. So
right, yeah. So I mean, I'm not really sure what to think either.
Speaking of our show, you said you're talking about Oscar Hernandez. I think Lourdes Gurriel is also another massive loss. On the year,
that's so true.
He's hitting .309, a 357 on base, 554 slugging, 904 OPS for 145 OPS plus. He was on my All-Star ballot.
Oh,
So
okay.
like,
Interesting.
that's in 51 games, so he's played essentially every single game. He has 2 triples, 9 home runs, 33 RBIs. So he's had a really good year. And I think that's another
Yeah.
thing that people don't really realize what they gave up. Because, like, he was solid on Blue Jays. He wasn't anything special, especially, like,
Yeah.
the last 2 years. But I think that's another bat that people don't realize. Because it was, like, the whole thing was, like, it may be one of those things that go hand in hand with Teoscar. Because they were kind of like those big RBI bats.
Yeah,
So, like, let me see if
definitely.
I can find the RBI number. And obviously, RBIs are somewhat of a fluky stat. But in
Right.
2021, he had 84 RBIs. So, like, that still
Right.
is a pretty solid amount of RBIs.
That's pretty good.
Considering
Yeah.
other guys in that lineup were also driving in runs.
Definitely. Yeah, so I don't think this lineup is as scary as it was last year.
And
But I still think they're good.
Kirk's been heating up, but he hasn't been the same hitter he was last year.
Yeah,
Because
so
he was
I
a
feel like a
damn
lot
good
of
hitter last year.
a little bit of a regression, a little bit of change lineup wise. I still think they're a really good team, so this should be a fun series, but I'll be happy with 2 out of 3. But look, I hope Mets just keep rolling. They play a lot better at home. They had the great home stand against the Rays and the Guardians, and then they went on the road to Chicago and Colorado and kind of stunk it up. So I hope it's not really going to be like a Jekyll and Hyde season. So I really hope the Mets, they don't badly need it, but a good
Verlander
hot
starts
stretch
game 1.
would be nice. Yeah.
You got to win that Verlander game. I think that's just
I
one
was
of those
just-
things. You have to win that game, set the tone, and then
Yes, definitely.
it's a coin flip for the other 2 games. Just win one of the other 2 games. Because
Yeah,
you never know
definitely.
if you can win the first 2 games, and then you're playing with house money with Senga on the mound, I think you're in a phenomenal spot.
Yeah, I agree, definitely. But do you have anything else to add?
Bronx.
Bronx?
Bronx.
Bronx?
Bronx.
Bronx?
Bronx. Bronx.
Bronx?
Bronx. Bronx. Bronx.
Let's get into the Bronx.
Go Bronx.
Now entering the Bronx.
Hello, everybody, and I'm sorry that you guys had to sit through Queens for the last 35 minutes. Now you're at the part that everyone wants
Wow.
to see. Welcome back to the Bronx.
The Bronx. El Bronx.
El Bronco.
El Bronx.
Ford 150 Bronco or whatever the hell that car is. No, but the Yankees started a West Coast trip. They just beat Seattle. They took 2 out of 3. But first off, before we get into the game, of course, your injury update brought to you by the Triboro MD. So first off, one thing I think that's not getting enough coverage is 3 baseballs have just been released out of the ICU after Aaron Judge absolutely obliterated them. And then getting into actual serious ones. A lot of good, but there was some bad, so I'm just going to start with the bad because I don't want to think about it. So Harrison Bader, he tweaked his hamstring running out a ground ball, placed on the 10-day IL with hamstring tightness, expected to be out a couple of weeks. That was a weird one because he ran it out and he was fine, and then he walked off completely fine without a limp under his own power, and now they're saying out a couple of weeks.
Yeah, so it's kind of like what's
It's
going on?
I think it's just out of an abundance of caution, where it's just
Right.
you don't mess with that, and
No, especially for a guy like Bader who is injury prone.
this is probably the last
So,
year on the team. You don't want to ruin
Yeah.
the little bit you have left. This isn't an injury. Oh, yeah. Aaron Hicks' career with the Yankees is dead. It's gone.
He's
Goodbye.
gone.
Greg Allen has saved us from what we had to deal with Aaron Hicks. Aaron Hicks has finally been DFA'd. The Orioles are desperate because Cedric Mullins got put on the IL. So now they signed him. He's definitely going to hit a pimp job home run off the foul pole in Yankee Stadium.
Of
Anyways,
course.
Carlos Rodon has been throwing feeling no stiffness, no issue. He's gonna throw off a mound soon. I still think like that. It's June, like mid-July, late
Beginning of June.
July.
All-Star
So
break.
All-Star break is like
Yeah.
when you're really expecting him. But then the big ones. So
Big boss.
the big boss. So a little bit of sad news. We'll start with who got sent down. Oswaldo got sent down. I think it was time. He just,
Yeah.
as much as I
Didn't
love
look right.
Oswaldo, he just didn't have it. He just needs to like fix his stuff. Crook, Matt Crook and Jimmy Cordero, Franchi Cordero both got sent down. The reason they got sent down is because to start the LA series, Josh Donaldson, Tommy Kahnle, Giancarlo Stanton all got activated. I was shocked they activated Stanton.
Right. Yeah.
He had like one rehab game, and they're like, "Oh, you're back,"
He's ready.
because they said the plan with him is to DH him for the next couple of weeks, like every
Yeah,
game,
I saw that.
and then kind of like ramp him up in the outfield. But I'm still shocked that they like said, "Oh, come on down, you want a free car?" So it's like
Oh,
that definitely was interesting to me.
definitely.
Then getting into the recaps, for game one, it was Domingo Germán, his first start back from his second suspension, versus Bryce Miller, the rookie. That's just been insane.
Sensation.
The entire, like, that's not even, like, I hate when people say that word, but that's, like, right.
He's been
That's
really
right.
good.
He's been absurd. He had, what
Yeah,
was it, like,
seriously.
13 base runners in his first 5 starts?
Yeah, something like that.
That streak did not continue.
It did not.
So in the top of the second, Harrison Bader singles, then a stolen base. Rake Bowers doubles, 1-0. Then at the bottom of the second, I didn't write down who because I'm an idiot, but someone hit an RBI ground out to tie it up. Top of the third, Glaber single. Aaron Judge obliterates a baseball, makes it 3-1 Yankees. Top of the fourth, Rake Bowers again, homer, 4-1 Yankees. Top of the fifth, Glaber single, shocker, he's actually good at baseball, who would have expected that. Judge double, Willie Calhoun double, IKF double. After all that, 8-2 Yankees. Bottom of the fifth, Julio, 2 RBI single. And that gets it up to, I also forgot to, I skimmed over it. Julio solo shot, because Julio Rodriguez is good at baseball. Top of the sixth, Aaron Judge says, "I'm better at baseball," hits another home run. And then in the bottom of the eighth, he robs Teoscar Hernandez. Then top of the ninth, Higgy RBI single just to wrap up the scoring. Germán went 6 1/3 innings pitched, 7 hits, 4 earned runs, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts. Bryce Miller went 4 2/3 innings pitched, 11 hits, 8 earned runs, 0 walks, 3 strikeouts. You almost
Yikes.
gave him he almost let up as many hits as he had in his first 5 starts combined.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, he got rocked. Just to put it
Yeah.
lightly, not even lightly, but he just got rocked.
That was just a great game overall from the offense. Germán,
Definitely.
I don't know what to think of that start. I don't like Germán, man.
Right, I mean,
Just
yeah, he's there.
like he's a solid
He
pitcher,
exists.
but it's just like I don't think solid pitchers are worth all the stuff you have to deal with when you have all the stuff that he does off the field or even on the field.
Yeah.
Literally. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think I don't even know what to think. He's just like
Is he a
no one's gonna want him.
Is he a potential
I
DFA
don't
candidate when Rodon comes back? If Montas comes back?
Probably, maybe.
So that's because I still
Maybe,
think
yeah.
I think Clark has a lot more value as a reliever.
Right, definitely.
So and we'll get into Clark later because he actually did well.
Right. Look at
So game 2 is Nestor Cortez versus Logan Gilbert.
Gilboy.
So top of the first inning, Glaber single, shocker, he's good. Cope. Then a Judge walk, IKF 2 RBI single, Rake Bowers sac fly. Top of the third, Willie Calhoun single, IKF single, then Volpe 3-run home run to make it 6-0. Top of the fourth, Greg motherfucking Allen home run. Bottom of the 5th, Ty France double, Teoscar double, 7-2 Yankees. Top of the 7th, Aaron Judge says, bye-bye baseball. Another home run for Judge. Top of the 9th, IKF, 2 RBI single that made it 10-2 Yankees. And for the pitching lines, Nestor went 5 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 3 walks, 6 strikeouts. Solid start. I think a lot of people put these crazy me included, put these crazy expectations on Nestor. You guys got to realize, he is their 4th starter.
Yeah.
When Rodon comes back, it's going to go Cole, Rodon, Sevy, Nestor. And I even said that in the beginning of the year. I said, is Nestor the 4th starter? Or like, like one of the first things, I'm like, Nestor's kind of the 4th starter the way that it should go. So
Right.
I'm fine with it. His issue's always been like third time through the lineup. So you get 5 innings, 2 runs out of your 4th starter. I'm completely fine. Because I also think that could be a mental thing where he's like, okay, I know I'm only going to face the lineup 2 times. I'm going to throw everything I got at it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So.
And then you have statistically, one of the best bullpens behind him.
That's been hurt too. That you still have guys coming back. You just got Canley back. You're gonna get. I forgot Ian Hamilton existed. You're gonna get him back soon.
Right.
Clay Holmes. There's actually been a thing where like he changed what type of slider he's using.
Is he using a sweeper now?
No, it's not like that. It's like his slider is a lot more vertical than it was horizontal.
Interesting.
Like a significant amount more. And
yeah,
that's
it probably
like
works better if his sinker.
Yeah, so it's made it. Like his numbers are like really good. I don't have them in front of me, but in his last like 8 appearances, he has like a sub 1 ERA. Or his last like 10 appearances, he has sub 1 ERA.
You love that.
Then also Logan Gilbert. I just think this is important to note. 4 innings pitched, 7 hits, 7 runs. 5 of them were earned, 1 walk, 4 Ks. I told my dad, because they had him at about 35, 40 pitches in the first inning, like once the first was over. I said if he pitches more than 4 innings, I don't care how many runs they scored, that's not good. Like that's because the Yankees had a tendency where they would get on a guy and make him throw 30, 35 pitches in the first innings, then the guy would pitch 6 innings. You can't have that. Logan Gilbert's I think he's a great pitcher.
Yeah, I agree.
So he's a really good pitcher. That's what you got to do to those pitchers. You can't let them settle in. Even if you're not getting hits, work that count, get him out by the 4th, 5th inning. I think that was great to get him out in the 4th. If only they could have done that in the Game 3. Game 3, Clark Schmidt versus George Kirby. Top of the 9th. A 0-0 game. There's 2 men out. They intentionally walked Judge. Some people were shocked by this. I wasn't.
Yeah, like what?
I was literally saw, like, once Glaber was up or Glaber got out, I'm like, dude, they're just going to walk Judge. And then they, like, almost didn't. And they were about to, I don't know who was pitching, but the pitcher was about to throw a pitch. And then the umpire threw up, like, the 4 fingers. I'm like, yeah, why didn't they do that earlier? Like, what? Yeah. Why did it take that long? And, like, then Willie Calhoun was after him. And Willie Calhoun did struck out, I think. Something I forgot to note, Anthony Rizzo, there was some weird like thing where like Tatis in the San Diego series last week, he like bumped into Rizzo in a weird way that some people thought was dirty. I didn't really see dirtiness.
It's kind of hard.
I think it's just because it's Tatis. People are saying it. But Rizzo hasn't played at all this series. They said he was available off the bench in Game 2 and Game 3. So you're not pinch hitting him in that spot for Willie Calhoun. And then it gets worse because in the top of the 10th, bases loaded, 2 outs, Higgy's up, they pinch hit Franchy Cordero instead of Rizzo.
Yeah.
So it's just like, is it a gamesmanship thing? Is it like what? Because I just hate some of the times when it's like, they try to do it for gamesmanship, but everyone knows it's bullshit. Because if you do it every single time, everyone's going to know.
Right.
So it's just...
And look, I get the gamesmanship thing, but, like, just... If he's not available, he's not available. Yeah. Just say it. Like...
Yeah, and then literally, like, first or second pitch in the bottom of the 9th, Cal Raleigh walks it off. Big dumper, dump the win.
dumper.
Dump the loss on your favorite team. You know, the Mariners haven't been living up to their potential, but still a good team. You had to
Definitely.
go from New York to Seattle without an off day. Or without a travel day. I still think winning 2 out of 3, scoring 10 runs in 3 games in a row, if you include the last game of the Seattle series, I still love that. I'm fine with 2 out of 3. Obviously, would have loved
Definitely.
the sweep. Just got to carry that momentum into the Dodgers series. And this Yankees team is weird because they'll go like 10 runs, 0, 10, 0, 10, 0, 10. Give me consistency, please.
Yeah.
Clark ended up going 5 2/3 innings pitched, 3 hits, 0 runs, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. He looked a lot
Pretty good.
better.
Yeah.
This is like his only good start of the year.
I know.
But again, a good Mariners lineup. Build off it, please. Get Domingo Germán out of my life.
Yeah, definitely. And
You
I
know,
mean, you went into the series going to face essentially Seattle's like 3-headed monster.
minus
Like,
Castillo.
I would say the 3 best pitchers. I would say.
Are you on drugs?
Oh, I forgot about Castillo.
Are you
I
on
forgot
drugs?
Castillo.
Are you
forgot
on
Castillo.
drugs?
I forgot about my Cy Young.
I was gonna
pick,
say you
but-
forgot your Cy Young pick.
All right,
Yeah, I agree. He sucks.
fine. But still,
No,
Bryce
but
Miller,
Bryce
Logan
Miller,
Gilbert,
Logan Gilbert,
George
Kirby
Kirby.
are very, very good. That's like one of the best, if not the
Very
best, 2,
good
3,
pitchers.
4s.
Right.
So like,
So, and taking
especially
2 out of 3,
maybe
you take
not
it all
on
the time.
paper, but with how they've been pitching.
Definitely.
So I definitely
Yeah,
think that's
I
good.
agree.
And talking about how good George Kirby was, he went 8 innings pitched, only 3 hits, no runs, no walks, 7 strikeouts. They were just doing the complete opposite of what they were doing against Logan Gilbert. They weren't working counts. Obviously, they weren't scoring runs. That's no shit, Sherlock. And yeah, he almost went longer than the other 2 starters combined. He was a third of the inning from going the same amount of innings as the other starters combined.
Right. And George Kirby is a pitcher who relies on his control.
Mm.
So I will say working the count is a little harder because he's just not going to miss.
Mm.
And his misses are 9 times out of 10 intentional, out of the zone.
Mm.
So it's a lot harder to work the count with Kirby, which is I feel like you have to attack him like early,
That's fair.
which obviously the Yankees didn't.
Mm. Yeah, I just still think that guys like that, you can find ways to still work the count.
Right.
Right. I don't know. That's always just been my belief that those guys aren't used to having counts worked on them. So you put them in an familiar like they're used to like guys getting like hits off them, like whatever, they'll brush it off. But if you put a guy in a situation he's not used to, that's always just my approach. That I would rather get a starter. I would rather make the starter throw 30, 35 pitches in the first than score 3 runs in the first. That may be a hot take, but that's just kind of how I see it. We're like, especially if you can continue it, get that starter on the ropes, especially in a 3-game series. If that's like the first game of the series, I'd much rather destroy that bullpen. So, I don't know. Just obviously that's the last game of the series, but
right. So you take 2 out of 3 all the time.
Oh yeah. And then just some overall thoughts. Part of the reason we didn't record the last 2 weeks was because we wanted to give Aaron Judge that time to really prove that he was the best player in baseball over Shohei Ohtani, because I said it and I got absolutely clowned. In his last 20 games, he has 12 home runs. So I'm just saying, in the last 2 years, I don't see how you could say anyone is on this planet is a better baseball player than Aaron Judge.
Well, technically, Shohei Ohtani is a better baseball player because he can do both things.
Yeah, but it's also a thing of, like, no one gives Judge credit for the fielding. Like, I know, like, Ohtani, like, even when Ohtani hits, he only does DH. Obviously, I'm not taking, like, his fielding is essentially pitching, if that makes sense. So, obviously, he's a phenomenal pitcher, phenomenal hitter. But it's just people don't get... They almost discredit Judge because he doesn't do something that only one person in, like, the world does. I don't think that's fair to do because Judge is putting up the closest thing we've seen to Barry Bonds numbers since Barry Bonds.
Right.
So
I agree, but then
historically
it's difficult.
good.
It's difficult.
And it's also in a completely different era too. He's putting up numbers close to Barry Bonds while Barry Bonds hit in the steroid era.
Right.
So it's like I just think that people don't realize how just on another level Aaron Judge is. There was a thing I saw that if his career ended today,
fair.
Aaron Judge is 13th all time in OPS. So
wow.
So that's what I'm saying. Like
I did not know that.
People aren't giving Judge the credit that he actually deserves. I don't see how you could say that.
Enough credit.
I don't know.
It's difficult. I will say it's difficult, and I will continue to say it's difficult to compare the two. But look, Judge has been amazing. That's really, as much as we want to talk Shohei versus Judge, let's just look at Judge and appreciate what he's doing.
He essentially had a
3-homer
game.
I think that's where the issue starts. Stop comparing.
Well,
So
I agree. I'm only comparing because people discount Judge because they say he's not better than Ohtani.
You're cutting out.
Okay. No, I just say, like, I disagree because I think, like, some people discount Judge because they don't think he's better than Ohtani.
You're good.
So you get what I mean?
Right. That's fair.
So it's like,
Yeah. Yeah. Again, it's so difficult. It's so
You're cutting out now, too.
difficult.
Gotta love the connection. And the fun part is I could say it's your connection, even though I know it's my connection, because I'm recording from my computer.
Aaron Judge is good at baseball.
My audio is going to be fine, so I could say that it's just your Wi-Fi. So I'm just saying. Your Wi-Fi sucks.
Damn.
Then
all right.
One thing that I think that really did send a message kind of to like more like the down roster guys was the Hicks DFA. That's saying like if we DFA'd Hicks, we ate more than $25 million. You guys making league minimum, you ain't safe. You are not safe.
Right.
You want to make a cameo? No. You can make it. Come on. You're on candid camera. Come on. At least show your face. Come on. I'm gonna annoy you. This is my gordito.
How's it going, guys?
He's a dweeb.
Hey, Nick. How you doing?
Hello.
He's lagging, but he said hello.
I'm doing well.
All right, now get out of here.
You're
love
lagging.
you, gordito.
I'm not lagging.
No, but it did send a message because in Jake Bauers, I'll wait for him for a little bit. Willie Calhoun in his last 7 games, 360 batting average, 407 on base, 520 OPS for a 927 or 520 slugging for a 927 OPS. Jake Bauers in his last 7 games, 313, 400 on base.
Willie Calhoun can bang.
Oh, he can bang. Jake Bauers in his last 7 games, 313 batting average, 400 on base, 688 slugging, 1088 OPS. So that DFA is sending a message, and we're not even talking about IKF. This goes a little bit further back than the Hicks DFA, but I definitely think that is important to count these numbers because it really does show that he has been hitting better. In his last 15 games, he's hitting 295, 354 on base, 591 slugging for a 945 OPS. And at that time, he also has 3 home runs and 12 RBIs. So you're getting that from IKF. Wow. That's great. Like, I didn't like IKF, and I didn't think he should have been on this team because he wasn't hitting. Yeah, if you want to hit, be on the team. I don't care. And what else was I going to say? Because did you see what he changed?
I didn't. I saw the post game interview, but I
Mm.
didn't like. I don't. I didn't see,
Okay.
but like I
Um.
heard what he said he changed.
So
He just
for
seems a lot more comfortable. I
that
feel.
too, pretty much what he said he changed was he said last year he was trying to just like slap the ball over the park. But he said this year now he's actually trying to drive the ball, which I think is something that people don't realize that even if you are slapping the ball, you still gotta drive it. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way that you have enough
Yeah.
power to just be able to like flick the bat, like flick. Unless you're Aaron Judge, there's no way you could just flick the
Right.
bat and get a hit. So like, no knock to IKF, but he's not the strongest guy. That's
Yeah.
just not his game. He's not a power hitter. So he
Yeah.
so learning to drive the ball, I think is going to significantly help him. And if he could even be a league average hitter, that's great as like that utility guy off the bench, especially if Oswaldo couldn't figure it out.
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. And like I said, he seems a lot more comfortable. He seems a lot more content with the place he's in. You know, baseball is an extremely mental game. So if you're not in the right mindset, that's just gonna throw off everything.
If you don't have the
But
right
he
mentality,
seems
you will
to
not
be in a
be
good mindset
you
now.
will not be hitting well if you don't have the right mindset. But that's just like one of those things that like it's
Exactly.
a law. So
Yeah, exactly. But look, it's huge for the team. You know, like you
100%.
said, if since Oswaldo really couldn't figure it out, if IKF can be the super utility guy, which I said he can be, then that
Whoa.
just
I
makes
said, because
the
I went
bench a
into the
lot
year.
deeper
I went
and
into the
everything a
year
lot deeper and la
think,
la 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 la.
that Oswaldo was better. But since Oswaldo's not been what I thought he would be, which would have been like a league average bat, a little worse, with very good defense all over the field, and IKF should play him better. He deserved it. He won the job. But I do also want to say, because I love Oswaldo, you guys put some of the just dumbest expectations on Oswaldo, me included. People were saying like,
Right.
oh, he could be like an 850 OPS hitter, hit 30, 35 home runs, and like this
30.
year.
30.
I said that he had potential to be
Whoa.
like a 25 home run, just like not this year, but in the future, just because his swing,
Yeah.
because his lefty swing does have a good amount of pop.
Right.
But you guys he was their like 23rd ranked prospect. He was known as a guy very good in the infield, not that much at the plate. But you guys put so much expectation. Not, I'm saying you guys like dummies on Twitter. Dummies on Twitter put these just like
Dummies on
crazy expectations on Oswaldo and expected him to put up like what Rizzo's doing right now. So it's
Right.
like
It's unfair. And I
Definitely.
don't think he's ever going to be that 850 OPS guy.
yeah.
Like you said, he's going to be a league average hitter at best. Maybe a little better, but
I think he could run
It's
into 20
unfair to
home
put
runs
expectations
one year,
like that.
though. Because I do think, like, he's one of those guys that may be, like, an all-or-nothing guy at the plate, the lefty swing, Yankee Stadium, yada, yada, yada.
right.
But 850
Yeah.
OPS, like, I just...
Way too high. No.
Yeah.
Limit your expectations just a little bit.
Yeah. And then speaking of another kid, Anthony Volpe is just... He looks lost.
Yeah.
In his last 15 games, he's hitting 122 with a 185 on base, a 265 slugging for a 450 OPS. That's just not good at all.
No.
It's one of those things
Yeah.
of what do you think they should do before I get into it?
Well, let me start off by saying I'm glad I'm not in charge of this decision.
Mhm.
But I feel like they.
Well, can I preface
feel-
something really quick?
Yeah. Sure.
Another reason why there is a conversation of send him down or don't send him down is because Peraza has 10 homers in 100 at bats in AAA. He's absolutely just roasting AAA. But go on.
I feel that the Yankees put themselves in a corner.
Mhm.
I think since they, which I think was the right decision bringing Volpe off of spring training. I think that was the right decision. I will stand by that. But I do feel like they backed themselves into a corner because you gave him the job on opening day. That I feel like you have to stick by him now.
I agree. I think that the worst thing that you can do is to send him down. I think
Yeah.
that you're going to hurt his development because the whole thing is like when they came up, they said, we know you were not finished developing. You are going to finish your development in the major leagues. You can't just bring him up and then be like, oh, sorry, you didn't finish your development like we knew you wouldn't, so bye-bye.
Right.
And it's a thing of who knows that you send him down AAA, he starts raking immediately because he's ready for AAA, but he's just not ready for the majors. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think that the worst thing that you can do is send him down. That being said, it's a joke that it's between him and Peraza. It's an absolute joke that it's between those two
Yeah.
guys for who should be on the roster.
It shouldn't
should
have
both
to be
be on
one
the
or the
roster.
other.
Exactly.
I agree.
So he still
It's
needs,
tough.
because his whole thing was, even when he wasn't hitting that well in the beginning of the year, he was still getting on base. He was still working the counts. He was still being feisty. He like those the pitches per at bats that I was telling you. Remember like earlier in the year,
Yeah.
how like they were just like insane. He was just working the counts, getting on base, getting walks. That's how he's getting the stolen bases. He's not really bringing that value because he's just not getting on base. He has a
Not doing anything. He's not
185
doing
on base
anything.
in his last 15 games.
Right. Which
So
just
it's-
obviously won't cut it. And it's an extremely tough decision. But I think you just have to ride it out.
I
You know,
agree.
give him like a couple days off, but let him reset.
Maybe give him the off day too, kind of like the double off day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With like the off day
Yeah,
then
definitely.
today.
Right. And if IKF is hitting, you know,
No.
I
No,
know
no.
his defense is bad at short. I know. But to get his bat in the lineup and give Volpe a rest,
You know, the easy solution, right?
yes, call it Peraza. I
Peraza
understand.
short, IKF in the outfield, or even at third.
Yes, but do you think they're going to do that?
No, but they should.
Yes, I agree, but I'm being realistic. Especially with Donaldson coming back, Peraza is going to ride away in AAA.
One thing that I did see, I don't know if it was during the San Diego series or during the Mariner series. I forget these. I've been like busy with work, and they've been like some really weird starting times, especially with like the West Coast and all that. And so IKF and Peraza were both starting, which whatever, like that, it was bound to happen. But they had Oswaldo at third, IKF at short, which was one of those things. Was like, why?
Why?
Just IKF won a Gold Glove at third. Granted, 60-game Gold Glove, but still a Gold Glove regardless. Oswaldo has shown that he is a better shortstop than IKF. So why are you putting them at two inferior positions when you could have them at two superior positions for both of them?
Right. Yeah,
So
that was a little rough.
So that's another thing. One thing I just thought about when like I was saying that, what are they gonna do with Willie Calhoun? You gonna play him in the field now?
Ugh, I mean, do you try it? Like, is he that god awful defensively?
Let me.
I don't know.
I know
Can he
that
stick
his
it?
whole
Can he
story was
stand?
that he was an infielder. He was so bad in the infield that like, but he had like a good bat, so they moved him to outfield. Bad in the outfield, so they moved him to a DH. There's no numbers on him. He's 7th percentile in sprint speed.
Yikes.
I mean, it may be a little more doable because Bader out, Judge is gonna play center more, but so it's like,
Maybe,
what are you
yeah.
gonna do with Willie Calhoun too?
Right. I mean, if he continues hitting, you can't not have his bat in the lineup.
Yeah, but if Sand's coming back, you're gonna play him like at least 3 out of 4 days. Obviously, like the
Yeah.
4th day being a rest day, but
I think you gotta try him in the field.
I do too. But it's like, cállate la boca,
I don't want
dogs.
to.
Yeah, I don't either. So.
Again, very glad I'm not in charge of these decisions.
Oh no, I wish I was, because I'm smarter than them. Anyways, I forgot to mention this. Happy Lou Gehrig's Day.
I guess, yes, of course.
So, just a little look ahead. So, the West Coast sucks, so we have a 10 o'clock game that I'm probably going to just knock out by because I've been up since 7 and I got like 4 hours of sleep. So we got Luis Severino versus Clayton Kershaw. Severino has been sharp since coming back with a 1.59 ERA, and I think 2 starts, and even one of those earned runs probably shouldn't have been an earned run because it
Right.
was such a weird play where they just gave, I want to say it was India a run where it's like who knows, like he probably wouldn't have scored regardless. Bunch of weird shit there. Clayton Kershaw has a 3.32 ERA and a lot of starts. I don't have the numbers in front of me because we were rushing to put this episode together because I have work in 20 minutes. And then game 2 is on Saturday at 7:15. It's Garrett Cole versus Michael Grove. Who is Michael Grove?
Prospect.
Prospect. Okay, thank you.
Prospect. You're welcome.
So thank you. Garrett Cole is 6-0 with a 2.93 ERA. He hasn't looked that good recently. The one thing that a lot of people are saying, like, what's his face? Domingo Herman got bopped for sticky stuff. Clark Schmidt, they told him to wash it off. So Cole, he like stopped using sticky stuff. And that's why his numbers have gone up. All of his spin rates
Yeah,
and
whatever.
velocity are as high as they ever were, in the starts he's been getting rocked. So it's honestly just a thing of, and I'm surprised it took us this long to talk about it.
Yeah.
But is he back? I forget. Yes, Trevino is back.
Yes.
And I completely forgot about this. But Jose Trevino's numbers with Garrett Cole since last year, he has like about a 2.5 ERA in like
Right.
a lot of innings. I forget how many.
I saw this. I saw this.
And then with Higgy in that time, he has about like a 6 ERA. So it's just a
Right.
thing of he can't pitch with Higgy. Like some people are like, oh, you're paying him $324 million. He should be able to pitch with any catcher. That's just one of those things that some guys have that relationship. So why hurt the relationship because they're being paid so much money? You shouldn't put them in a position to succeed.
Yeah.
I hate that in sports. I don't care
I mean,
about the contract.
It happens.
You
some
have to
pitchers
put
just
them
like
in
certain catchers.
in any sport. You have to. If you don't put your players in a position to succeed, they're not going to succeed. Shocker. It's almost like in the NFL when guys get drafted and they get drafted into like the worst system possible and they don't play well. Shocker, they're not going to do well. Tom Brady, yeah, he's a system QB. Guess what? Pretty much every single quarterback that's good is a system quarterback. Little rant. It's almost like as coaches, your job is to know your players' strengths and play to those goddamn strengths. So anyways, Michael Grove has a 8.44 ERA, and he has 14 strikeouts, so I'd say that's probably 2 or 3 starts. MLB doesn't have that on their website because MLB is stupid. We love baseball, though. We wouldn't have a podcast without it.
Yay.
Game 3, the Yankees are on Sunday Night Baseball. That's a 7 o'clock start. You got Domingo Herman versus Bobby Miller, another prospect for the Dodgers. Domingo Herman has a 3.98 ERA, which can either be a 1 ERA or 20 ERA, depending how he wants to pitch. And then Bobby Miller has a 1.64 ERA, and that's in 3 starts?
Yes, I believe so.
He's also on my fantasy team, so if he were to go 7 scoreless, shut out the Yankees were to hit the bullpen, I'm not complaining. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. You got to win 2 out of 3, please.
Yeah, definitely.
I think no matter what, you have to win that Cole game.
Yeah, no,
it's
definitely.
almost like the Mets, where I said like with Verlander, where like you have to win the Verlander game, you have to win this Cole game, and then I think that Sevy game is very winnable, especially because I feel like the Yankees have good power numbers off Kershaw. Like I know Judge has a couple home runs off Kershaw, Stan has a couple home runs off Kershaw, Volpe's gonna have a couple home runs off Kershaw, so you really just. I think if they hit Kershaw, get out to like win that first game, I think you're in a phenomenal position. I'm not gonna be a Debbie Downer if they win 2 out of 3. Like that's awesome. The Dodgers are first placed in the West. Just win the baseball games. That's all I can say.
Win the baseball games. Do your job.
Do your job.
Do your job so we can talk good about you.
Understand the assignment.
Exactly.
So that's all I got, unless you got anything else.
Yeah. No, I mean, the Dodgers are a really good team. Yankees are a really good team. It's going to be a fun series, but
Do outro monkey.
we'll see who's better. Outro monkey. But
Outro
of
monkey.
course, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. We're happy to be back. Hoping a little more consistency going forward. But of course, we will always be there on social media, whether it be Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.
And if you're interested in any fine cutlery,
Remember to
definitely hit me up
subscribe.
on Twitter.
Of course. And subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Spotify. But that's all. And we will see you in the next episode.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.